Hello, my name is Nathan and welcome to Freedom Finders Outdoor Adventures. Today on this episode we're going to be talking about prepping. Now there are a lot of videos out there on prepping. There are some fantastic people, special forces guys, other types of military, non-military people who have been doing this for a lot of years that have some great YouTube videos on prepping. And this is going to be one of those videos that we discuss how to choose gear, some attitudinal components to prepping, and other components of how to prepare for prepping. Also how to look at prepping from an attitude and or mindset. So stay tuned. I'm going to bring over some of my personal gear. I'm going to talk about Echo Sigma, which is a friend of mine's great company who has some of the best preparedness gear out there. He does a great job. I'm also going to discuss some of my personal things I take with me when I take with me. This is not necessarily camping gear, but it's kind of in the middle. It kind of encompasses get home bags or shelter in place type of bags. But obviously, you know, going camping, there's a lot of similarities. So this environment and this audience here is really specific on preparing for shelter in place, rather man-made events or non-man-made events. So again, stay tuned. Thank you for choosing our channel. Right now, if you want to go ahead and subscribe, we're trying to pump out at least 1 or 2 videos if we can a week or so, especially during COVID-19, try to answer some questions. But let's go ahead and dive right in, Nate. So real quick, I'll get it out of the way. What I do full-time, obviously it'd be great to do this full-time, but what I do full-time is I work in a sector to where we deal with critical infrastructure. So, and I see some things maybe that other people don't see, and I do my best to try to understand the complexity that goes with preparing. The mindset that I have is not something that apocalyptic in nature necessarily, although that is a possibility, especially right now during COVID-19. People are learning how to live without, or how to live out access to certain components like toilet paper, which there seems to be enough, but people really want it. Who knows? But this is kind of a culturalistic thing. We're going to be in a new normal. So I've had a lot of questions about prepping, especially working with my friend's business consulting with Echo Sigma and bringing information in. But I also encourage other folks to go out and search the internet. Echo Sigma has a great option for what they do. They're right in the middle. They put enough in their bags. It's great equipment, but enough to be able to put your own stuff in your bag, like your own clothes, your own medications, so maybe toilet paper and some other stuff. And that's one thing I'm really glad about Chris Riedel and Echo Sigma, is because they look at it as an 80 to 90% solution and say, here, it's cheaper to take one of our bags and buy it and then put your stuff in it. And so versus having to go out there and spend hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars burying Connex buildings and getting ready. But you know, some of that just is a little too crazy. You've probably seen that on Discovery Channel called Preppers, which of course I like the show, but still. So this is kind of more for individuals and families. Of course, one of the mindsets with prepping that I think people really should consider is seasons of life. You know, I have 2 little kids. Some people maybe have older kids. Some people don't have kids at all. Maybe some are elderly. So this video should help you, kind of guide you in making a decision on what type of gear you should need and maybe for what purpose. You know, a lot of times in my experience, in my military experience, and even my civilian experience, most of the time that we're experiencing now, preparing is going to be basically sheltering in place for a period of time. You know, there's aspects of obviously one person going in the house and getting stuff and coming back, but the reality is a lot of times you're more than likely going to shelter in place with either food that can last you a long time, water, maybe some entertainment type things, because obviously if you've seen the YouTube videos of people getting completely bored and doing some crazy stuff, yeah, those are entertaining. But people are getting hurt as well. They're getting bored doing things, getting hurt, and they end up in the ER, and maybe they could get sick from COVID-19 or get a staph infection or something else. So what we're going to go over today is kind of a mindset. We'll go over a little bit of gear, and kind of go from there. So one of the first things I tell people about prepping is there's 3 different ways to look at it. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. Now that's not something I made up, but it's something really true. So a lot of times when you're in a situation to where you can't breathe, a gas mask is something that will obviously really help you, or something like a cover your face, like Right now, what we're doing with COVID-19 is trying to prevent germs from getting in. We want to prevent some kind of hazardous material from getting in, or germs or something like that. But you don't necessarily need to get, the baddest of gas masks. You need something that's going to be able to have a filter on it. This is an Israeli 70. It's about $40 at any military surplus store. This is my personal one, and I keep it in a bag so it doesn't get any rub marks on it, so there's no dirt that gets in the filter or anything like that. It fits right in here. It goes right in my gear. It stays with me most everywhere I go, especially if I travel long distance. So 3 minutes without air. Life changes real quick, especially for those that are watching this video. If you have an asthma issue or you have other issues, you always want to make sure you have an inhaler with you. You want to kind of cycle those out, because if you can't breathe, nothing else matters. So I think that one's fairly easy in a sense of how to try to protect yourself, because a lot of people will get in that mindset of fight or flight. So 3 minutes without air. Another one is 3 days without water. Now here's one thing that a lot of people don't realize, right? For instance, Echo Sigma bags, these come with what's called life straws. Life straws, they're little things, they're about $30. You can go into almost any type of water and make it potable water. Almost any type of water. It filters out a lot of the pollutants. 3 days without water really means that has to be caveated with your actions, your behaviors, your exercise activity. You're walking up and down hills, you're obviously going to need water in a hotter environment than you are a colder environment in some respects. So you kind of have to balance it. It's not necessarily exactly going to be 3 days, but it kind of has to caveat that. So a lot of times, like what EcoSlim does, and I'll go through these bags a little bit later, there's enough water here to sustain one person for a few days, especially if you limit your behavior activity. For example, if you're in a scenario where you have to park your car on the side of the road because there's an earthquake or something else happened, you lock your car, you get your bag, and you head north, south, east, west. Whatever's the best way for you to go that you feel you're going to be able to make it home or get to a safe destination. If it's in the middle of the day, maybe you want to wait till it's a little bit cooler out and head out, but you also have to be aware of walking at night. There's a lot of things to consider, environmental factors and so forth. And there's a lot of other videos out there that, depending on if it's an urban environment or if it's a jungle type environment, forest environment, that you're going to have to take different precautions. But really honestly, depending on your activity, you always want to make sure that you have water in your get home bag, or if you have water in the back of your Jeep or the back of your car or van, to sustain yourself and others for at least 3 or 4 days, because you never really know what's going to happen. You can see stories of people that get caught in the mountains with snow all around them, and they're hungry and they're starving and they're having a hard time getting water because they can't boil the snow down or whatever. So hundreds of stories like that. So water is one of them. Now, 3 weeks without food. Again, this is one of those caveat things that I always tell folks. Again, depending on your activity, depending on your medication needs and things like that. The Echo Sigma kits come with ration bars that are kind of tasty, but they're really honestly made for calories, just like MREs are, military meals ready to eat with the military issues out, which I've had a lot of those, including Army cake, which eventually you really enjoy. Eventually you really enjoy and you learn to love. But those are designed to give soldiers, airmen, Marines, and sailors, calories to be able to burn during live actions, theater situations, high intense scenarios. They have sometimes 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 calories each meal that can be spanned throughout a day. So MREs, you can buy them in a lot of places. If you're military, you can buy them in commissaries. I think they're about $1 a bag or $2 a bag, maybe less than that. But those are really good to have. The Echo Sigma bags come with actual rations. So let me move into kind of some ideas that you always need to make sure you carry with you outside of the trifecta of 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food, is understanding what should you carry in your van, car, Jeep, however you travel to metropolitan areas, or you're traveling long or short distances, depending on what your scenario is. One of the things I always encourage folks to have always is what we call an individual first aid kit, or IFAK. There's several different ways. This is an actual trauma kit, so this comes with scissors, it comes with some globular stuff that you can throw into a wound and it'll just glob up and clot up a little bit. Comes with gauze and so forth. This is my personal trauma kit. You can get one of these little trail bags here. I always keep this. I have one of these in every single vehicle that I have. Jeep, van, truck, Subaru. And when I go out, if I travel with someone on a long distance, whether it's for work or for personal, I always have one of these with me. And this is the kind that will fold out, which is kind of cool. These you can buy at Walmart or so forth. And you can stack with whatever you want. You know, from chapstick to your specific type of antibiotics or roll aids if you have that. Gauze, you know, things like that, especially if you need to fit, you know, certain components of body parts and things like that. But there's several different types. Another one that I have is something that fits on molly gear. Molly gear is these straps that go on. A lot of stuff has molly gear. This is the way that in the military you strap stuff to your back or rucksack or whatever. But this one's pretty interesting too. This is just a quick one that I take with me too. Has a lot of the same stuff that I have in here. This is a little bit more rugged. So this is kind of a combination of a first aid and a trauma kit. So obviously I've ripped the zipper here, but so there's a lot of different things you can carry in here. And you can get the stuff from military surplus stores. You can get it from Walmart. You know, it's pretty cheap because you have to make sure whatever expires in here, like alcohol wipes, usually will last a few years. You know, Neosporin will eventually expire. You want to make sure you cycle these out. So I take these in and out of my rig every once in a while, and I recycle stuff on them. So again, one of the most important things to understand is carrying a first aid kit with you and making sure that number one, you know how to use it, which there's thousands of YouTube videos on how to bandage certain things, how to wrap broken arms and so forth. So IFAK kit. Now getting into some interesting basics, one of the things that I always carry with me is a knife, right? A couple different reasons why you always want to make sure you carry a knife, and you want to make sure you carry a good knife. This is a Spyderco knife. It's got a curved edge to it, so I can do it for a lot of different stuff. I can do it for if I need to defend myself. I can cut off a seat belt. I can cut open a box really quick. This is one of my favorite knives. It's really light. It's not that big, and the blades are excellent. Again, non-sponsored, but this I really like knives. I have a lot of them, and you'll see on my Echo Sigma bag, it comes with a lot of different tools. But I always make sure I have a knife on me. I have a knife probably in almost every compartment. I have a knife on me, even when I go for walks in my neighborhood here. It's really important to make sure you have something on you, just even a quick and dirty tool that, you know, hey, I need to get in here, I need to take care of business. Always having a knife on you. A couple other things I think are some of the most important things to carry with you all the time is your phone. Obviously, we live in a day and age of information, right? And a battery backup. A phone and battery backup are some of the most important things you can have with you. Obviously, if you need to call 911, maybe take pictures of a scenario or event, or maybe take a picture of a spot where you're at if you're lost. A lot of times these ping cell towers, they're always pinging cell towers as long as there's battery power in here. So if you get lost, they can ping you and figure out, trajectorize your location. I always make sure these are not just places to make phone calls from. These are personal computers. These can save lives. I always make sure I have my phone on me. And of course, now day and age, everyone has it. They're on social media doing this stuff, you know, and texting this and texting that, which is fantastic. But this is this is something that can save lives. The other thing to understand about a phone is even if you have low battery life, you want to make sure you text and maybe not make phone calls. If you're in a scenario to where you're like, my battery's getting low and you need to tell someone something, you want to send a text because it doesn't take as much power, the way that I understand it, to send a text out and come back, and it can still help out with communicating. So a couple other things that it's kind of interesting that this video is probably a little bit unique on for you is to carry one of these. Now this is very interesting. If all you don't know what this is, basically what this is this is a gym phone thing, right? You put your phone into here. Now these things are phenomenal, right? If you are traveling, if you're hiking, if you're biking, these are phenomenal to have with you with your ID. You can put your keys in here. You can make a small first aid kit out of one of these. I love these things. You can put them around your arm. You can put them around your ankle, inside your shorts, inside your pants. Even of kids, you can put on their head. I would do that to my kid, yeah, really. These are phenomenal to be able to have, to be able to put certain things in. And there's thousands of different types out there. Stuff that wicks sweat away, that you can always just quickly access. So this is something free you probably have in your house somewhere that's not being used, and you can dump this in your go bag or your go kit. So let's move on. A couple of the things I always have with me is, you notice my hat, right? I have an American flag in my hat. I have no hair. you can see the shine off the shop roof here that's coming in. I always make sure I have a hat with me. And so a lot of times, some of my favorite hats are ball caps, but other times, these are my favorite hats. These are what we call boonie caps. Now, boonie caps obviously have a different type of look to them, right? I love my boonie cap. I have black ones, green ones, obviously desert colored ones. So I've had these when I was doing certain missions and deployments things. So these are phenomenal to have because they don't kind of cover everything, but they cover enough, right? They're pretty light. They have the vents on the side. You can buy these anywhere. You can buy them at Army Navy surplus stores. You can buy them online. You can put your logo on here. These are wonderful to have. I always make sure that I have a boonie cap with me. And this one especially is the one that's in the back of my Jeep. I have another black one in my go bag. So, all right, another couple things I always want to make sure you have with you is maybe a even little warmer hat and maybe sunglasses, right? Sunglasses are phenomenal. They can protect your eyes one way. They can also protect your eyes from the sun or maybe debris getting into it. But I always make sure I have one of these. An old set even in your go bag. I actually have goggles in the Echo Sigma bag, which again I'll go over a little bit later, and they will cover over eyeglasses or a set of sunglasses. And it's important to have those, especially if you're in an area to where you're going to have debris flowing in your face. During 9/11, that was one thing that was very popular. Obviously, people were just buying goggles, masks, and stuff all over the place because of the debris. During COVID-19, obviously, Dr. Fauci and others have said that the pathogen or the virus can get into your mouth, your nose, and through your eyes or through an open cut. So anytime you get a chance to protect your vital organs is very wise. So Echo Sigma, I think, does a great job of packing their stuff with stuff that'll last a long time, but it's not too expensive. I know, swim goggles, some people have those. They'll conceal around your face. I mean, you can get really dark ones, like welding mask ones, those work also. It really depends. You really don't need to necessarily always go out and buy all this gear. Like, oh, I need all this new stuff. You can usually find stuff, right? Battery power, sunglasses, knives, gym equipment that you can pack into your own go bag. So, all right, we're gonna take a quick break. I'll get some more items out. Stay tuned. Welcome back again. This is Nathan, and we're talking about some prepping and how to look at an attitude and mindset and certain things you can pull out of your house to make your own go bag. One of the things I wanted to make sure that I discussed, and I was really honest about this and transparent about it, is the mindset of prepping. So there's a couple things to understand when looking at how to prep. Obviously there's gear. I love gear. There's gear. There's communications equipment that you always want to have you. Good boots, knives, tools, flashlights. It's all awesome. But one of the components that I think is the most important is your attitude on how to prep. The seasons in life. Like I mentioned earlier, I have two baby girls. I have two bags for them that I'll go over a little bit later on. They have water, they have food, they have some other stuff. But you know what else I have in there? I have a Dr. Seuss book. I have a deck of cards. I have crayons. Things like that to be able to understand if we are in a scenario to where the kids need to be entertained or focus on other things, that maybe some chaos is happening around us, or we just need to have some downtime. The mental aspect of prepping is probably, to me, one of the most important. The fear factor can really override. I talk to my beautiful wife all the time about, hey, let's make sure we have enough food, let's make sure we have enough this, but not too much to where you're hoarding and not too little to where you don't have enough. So projecting out and differentiate disinformation, fact and truth, I think is a huge point when it comes to preparing and prepping for any type of emergency, whether it's man-made or it's something that you honestly, like an earthquake, fire, or flood. So let's continue. So a couple of the things I want to make sure that I go over, right, is stuff that you have in your house. You don't necessarily need this bag right here. This is my personal bag. This is the Echo Sigma Zombie Apocalypse bag. This bag is heavy and it comes with a lot of different items. One of the things that this bag comes with specifically is some tools. I have a large machete kind of knife over here. I have an axe right here that works really well. I can use it as a weapon. I can use it to chop wood up or do what I need to. I also have a smaller knife that can fit in my boot or in my shorts or wherever I need to put this in my pants. I also have a multi-tool Multi-tool is one of the best things you can ever have with you. I have a head flashlight. This is something I can put around my head or my arm or my leg or whatever I need to do to show where I'm going. This bag also comes specifically with its own first aid kit, and so this one I have packed with personal stuff in here. Like I've packed antibiotics and some other stuff in here that I keep just in case for me. The other thing I have in here is something that my daughter made. This is one of the emotional things I'll carry with me. So if I do get caught in a situation and I need to return, I'll take this out and put this in my pocket and rub on it a little bit and take it out and look at it and just remember what the most important thing in life is, and then that is definitely getting home to family. The other thing you want to make sure is what you have in your bag is a Silcock key. Now, Silcock key is about 10 or 12 bucks online on Amazon, and all these little squares right here, and I'll take a closer shot up of this for a little bit later. This will open up mainly water spigots in an urban environment. So a lot of times when you're walking across different buildings, you'll see those little metal placards that come up and come down. You can open up water spigots with those Silcock keys. So mainly, of course, that's an urban environment, and a lot of times you find yourself in an urban environment. So it's kind of key to understand if you need to get access quickly. I think there are some gas valves that can open that as well. This bag also comes with a different kind of components. I have a compass in my bag. Again, there's a lot of videos on the type of compasses and how to use them. I won't go over in this video. There's quick little walk-away bags. So this one comes specifically with matches. It has some water tablets to purify water, pen and pencil. You always want to make sure you have something to write with in case if you have to take notes, you have to journal items, maybe take down what number of pictures go to where. Those are important. I have socks in here. I have goggles in here. I also carry some more batteries. It's important to have batteries. You want to make sure you recycle those out as well. Echo Simming does a good job. This is a signal mirror. You can also, look at your pretty face and put your makeup on. I don't know, maybe that's for some of you. I definitely don't wear makeup, maybe sometimes, I don't know. Anyway, but you never know what you need. But Echo Sigma does a good job. Mainly the Zombie Apocalypse bag. This one comes with a bladder in the back. You can put water in the bladder, put it on your back, and then use it to come forward. So Echo Sigma does a very good job packing their stuff. One of the cool things I like about Echo Sigma, if you could see this, is they keep the plastic tip on the suck tip. I guess that's what it's called. That way it protects it. So if you need it, you just rip it off. So again, this is Echo Sigma's Zombie Outbreak Kit. This is my personal bag, and I absolutely love it. I highly recommend it. Now, one reason why you see my bag is so clean is because Echo Sigma sends you these bags. These bags right here are what you put your bag in. So if it goes in the back of your car, your Jeep, your truck, whatever, it keeps your bag clean. And if there's anything that's spilt on it, it won't get mold. These are little vinyl bags that are outstanding to have. And then if you do get caught in a place, you can put your wet clothes in here. You can put other stuff, put it in a tree so animals don't get it. So outstanding product. Now, a couple other things I want to make sure people understand that you have around your house, especially when it comes to prepping. You probably have a couple of these. These are backpacks that your computer comes in, right? Your laptop. Usually people get these assigned for work and they're never used. These are fantastic get-out bags because a lot of times, they have the mesh in the back. They're pretty padded in here. They have the place where you can put, your laptops. They have different little areas. You can put medicational. You can put IFAK kits in here. You can put extra clothes that'll separate stuff out. You can put books, coloring crayons for kids. These backpacks are great, and you probably have a couple of them laying around. Now, you could go for a rucksack type of backpack here. These are great. This is an ACU pattern. One key you have to realize though, if you have these in your car, Jeep, van, or whatever, people tend to break in and steal these because they know you probably have military equipment in here and it's probably expensive. But again, these are great bags. You can buy them at Army surplus stores, and there's several different kinds too as well. This is what we call an admin bag. I had this for years. During my tour duty, and this one I just put books and computers and stuff in. But this would be great to give to one of the kids or pack toys in, or however, because at the end of the day it was issued. I really don't care. So there's different types of kits out there. I know my Zombie Apocalypse kit is a little bit different. This is my wife's bag. This is a little different. She has some female items in here, obviously for female processes, if that's correct to say. This is her get home bag. So if we do a long trip, she'll put this in her van. I'll have my bag, this bag, and this can sustain us for a little while. There's blankets in here too as well. She gets a lot colder than I do. She also puts her own underwear, socks, and stuff in here too that is specifically for her. She has a deck of cards in here. She has her own flashlight. I have my own flashlight, so if we need to go off together or someone gets lost or something happens, she has her own kit. She has her own tool. This does come with a bladder as well. This is Echo Sigma's basic get home bag. So there's a lot of value in this one as well. So some things to consider when buying a bag though is make sure you get one that has enough room that you can pack your own stuff into. It's important to understand that. So any questions, please put them below, and I'll put the link to Echo Sigma, and you can give him a call or go to his website and check out his items. Now, I want to continue a couple other items that I think are very, very important to have. One of them is going to be a communication type of equipment. Now, this is the Baofeng, I think it's an AXM 3160. Anyway, but this is a VHF and UHF radio. It's 5 watts. You have to technically have a license to have this. But what's outstanding about this is you can either have a charged battery, one that goes into your cigarette lighter. This is made in China, but I think it's a knockoff. So, I mean, it kind of depends. I usually pride myself on really buying American, and I try to find my American. Motorola is one of those. A lot of electronics nowadays are made all over the world, right? So you want to kind of look at what works for you. I have a couple. I have a Motorola. This is my little personal one. Throwaway one. It's a cheapy one, but it does work. But you want to look at getting a VHF and a UHF if you can. So that will be able to get you kind of different type of spectrums. Now I'm no radio guru, so the guys probably watching this video going, well, do this, do that, that's the better. Please comment below all you want, but I know for me, I can hit, especially with 5 watts, I can hit almost any repeater if I'm out in the middle of nowhere. But you always want to make sure you have a communication device, whether it's a radio or it's a phone, especially if you're in the middle of nowhere, or if you're just having fun in a campground. The other thing I always make sure people have is a great set of boots. Now these were my old issue. I absolutely love these boots. Even they're the fuzzy type issue boots. They're the felt. These are some of the best boots I've ever owned. You can buy the expensive Danners. You can buy any type of good boot that you like. But whatever works for you, whatever type of insert you have to have or support you have to have, it's important to make sure that you have the support for your feet, because it is one of the most important things to take care of, especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have to walk several miles. So let's go ahead and continue. Some of the other things and items I feel that are extremely important to happen or have in your car, Jeep, or whatever for preparing are things that can protect you from the elements. For example, this is an old Army uniform issue jacket. This is one of the best jackets I've ever owned. Again, you can buy these in any Army, Navy surplus store, or someone who you know is enlisted that this old pattern ACU they don't use anymore. You can dye it, you can do whatever you want with it. But some of these are made out of Nomax, which are fire resistant. This is Gore-Tex, so it's outstanding material. I always keep this with me if I go camping or hiking, because if it gets really cold, because sometimes you really don't know if it's going to get that cold, I always make sure I have one of these with me. Another thing you always want to make sure you have with you is a poncho. Now, a poncho doesn't necessarily need to be camouflaged, but a poncho can be used for a tent. It can be used to cover you up. Obviously, if it rains, you can use it to cover up gear. If you need it to cover up gear. But I always make sure I have a poncho. Now, one thing with ponchos you want to make sure, and this is one of the reasons why I have mine all out, is if it gets wet, you want to hang it out to dry. Mainly for the fact that you don't want mold getting in here and having to have problems or breaking down the material. So always make sure you have a poncho as well. A couple of the items that I make sure I always have too with me, outside of different hats, is different kind of backpacks. So I look at different components of backpacks. Like this is a Molly Gear backpack. This has a paracord on it. It's important, like this one has a piece of flint. You can buy these online. I usually wrap them around the handles here, so I always have them on my work backpack, which is a 511 bag. I keep a couple of these different around. I keep an additional watch. It's just in case something dies or I break something, I always have it. In this backpack specifically, I carry this with me. This is something I will go out and camp, or I'll go out when I was in barracks. I put earplugs in and I put this over my eyes and I'm able to get to sleep. It's so important to be able to get sleep when you need to get sleep. I also carry other things and items in this bag, so I mean, it kind of depends on what you want to use it for and how you want to use it. Something to brush your teeth with. These are items that are important to have too. Just basic hygiene is important, right? I have a smaller set in my get home bag so I can brush my teeth, I can feel clean, especially if I'm stressed or on any occasion. You would be surprised, the mental aspect of surviving is basic hygiene and feeling comfortable and also feeling safe, entertaining yourself and having that positive mindset of survival. That's 99% of it, guys and gals. Bottom line. I've got a buddies, they're special forces. I've trained with special forces in my past. I mean, they're in extreme environments, you're in a fight or flight scenario, but a lot of times people who are watching this video will probably not be in some of those environments, and if you ever are, you will be in a fight or flight scenario and it'll be really difficult sometimes. So if you can keep a positive mindset, keep good hygiene, have the best preparedness that you can, have a bag packed for you not knowing maybe what you're going to encounter. Echo Sigma, again, great products. You're welcome to search the internet, but I recommend them. Having a good pair of boots, having plenty of little tools, little knives. This is a Gerber with a seat belt cover. Always making sure you have stuff with you because you never really know when you're gonna need it. So that's my quick and dirty. I will do some more prepping videos and specifics of bags. I'll also post Echo Sigma link at the bottom of this video. And I will do some more updates on bags. There's 2 bags that I'm putting together right now for my kids, and those are kind of unique. I haven't seen too many videos on those. So again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Freedom Finder Outdoor Adventures. I'm Nate. Have a great day.